Welcome to episode 2 of the Just Another Chris 2020 Halloween special. In today's episode, we will be talking about the Lomography Lomo Instant Wide. And I want to give a special, huge thank you to Lomography for sending this camera. I will be covering the specs of this camera, the camera's operation, the picture quality, as well as the pros and cons, which unfortunately, this camera has a little bit of both. So this is gonna sound super weird. Let me explain first. I was out shooting yesterday for my other YouTube channel, going out with some friends. So I was able to shoot one instant film on the Lomo Instant Wide, and it came out so eerie and just awesome looking, I thought. So I was gonna come out the next day, today, shoot some more. We're going through this massive wildfire here on the West Coast. All of California, Oregon, and Washington is just littered and been dumped with the smoke from all these fires. It's been insane. The positive side of all of this, if there is any, which in my world it is, but in everybody else's it's not, there's been some great photos that have been taken from it. I feel weird even saying that because this has been a crazy time. People are evacuating their homes and everything, so it's very strange. But I'm optimistic. I try to take, the good out of the bad, and the good in my world is photos. And so today I was going to come out and shoot some more photos on this Lomo Instant Wide, get some really awesome looking shots. Really wanted to test out this camera in extreme conditions as well as normal conditions. It still looks kind of eerie and cool, so let's find out. Oh shit. Oh no. Oh man, I forgot to take the cap off. Oh no. Let's try that again. Let's start things off by saying that when I do reviews of products, I like to test them over the course of usually a few months. I do not want to talk about products that I have only tested or even just used a couple of times. I know there's a lot of YouTubers that do that, and I absolutely hate that. They're just making a video for the video's sake. That's not what I do here at all. I test this out to make sure it's good enough for you guys. I mean, come on, you can't give a true opinion on something that you barely know anything about. Also, like I said before, this camera was sent to me for testing by Lomography. I do not get to keep it. I do have to send it back. So my thoughts and opinions are my own. Now that's out of the way, let's get started. The Lomography Wide is a Fujifilm wide camera, basically. There's no affiliation to Fuji whatsoever, they just use the film stock. And this camera will run you $150. It's plastic in construction and it uses AA batteries. The lens is plastic and the viewfinder is offset from the lens pretty far, so framing this guy is gonna need some practice. The lens is fixed at 90 millimeters, which is 35 millimeter equivalent, and has 3 options for focusing: 0.6 meters, 1 to 2 meters, and infinity. The lens also has a filter thread of 49 millimeters. It has a built-in flash and has a light meter built in. And in addition to that, it has a few options for the shutter speed, such as bulb mode, 8 seconds to 1/250th of a second, which is the range for the auto shooting mode, and a fixed 1/30th of a second shutter speed, which comes in handy if you are wanting to use off-camera lights. This also features a lens cap that doubles as a remote, but more on this in just a minute. Now let's get down to business and talk about what all these specs mean and if they're any good. So I guess it's pros and cons time. Let's talk about that. One of the pros is the fact that it shoots the Fuji wide film. That film is super colorful and it's cheapish film stock to buy, as well as it's just easy to find. Link in the description if you want to pick some up. Another pro is the ability to shoot long exposures with the remote lens cap. I love the ability to go out at night and still shoot some instant photos. Love it. But a huge, I can't stress this enough, huge con is the remote lens cap. This thing has cost me so much money in the form of wasted film shots. Here is just a few. There's more. I don't know where they're at. Yeah, a lot of them wasted. Keep forgetting to take it off. I've burned probably easily a full pack by now of forgetting this. This is the only camera that I have, and the only camera on the market that has, you have to remove the lens cap for instant film. I've wasted a lot of money on this. Here's another huge con, and guess what? It's still about the lens remote cap. If you don't turn off the camera, you can actually take a picture putting the lens cap back on. I've done this so many times. There's two buttons on the front of this thing. It is for time, for when you're in bulb mode, and then an instant, it just takes a picture. If the camera is still on, when you're putting this back on, you have to press this in to click it in place. You push the button. I've taken so many freaking pictures, and it's like so frustrating. The framing of this camera, I will say, is worse than the Lomo Instant. I'm noticing it's kind of weird. You really have to pay attention to where you're framing it, like more so than the other camera that I've used by them. And you have this little grid that shows you where you're supposed to kind of position it. However, there's a lot of headroom that it doesn't appear that you have, that you do. So all my photos that I've been taking, I have all this headspace that I didn't think I actually had. So that's interesting. But dang, it does look pretty eerie. It looks pretty cool. Another pro / con is that I've noticed when taking pictures with this, there's a pretty big vignetting going around on the edges of my pictures. But that's really up to you if it's a good or bad thing. It's all in your preference, I guess. Another pro for this guy is the plastic lens. Yeah, it's plastic, but it puts out some pretty sharp images that I'm kind of impressed with. Another really cool feature that this has, it has a double exposure. I haven't really messed around with it too much, but still cool nonetheless. I don't know if I'm liking this camera. Almost every single photo, if not all photos I've shot, has this vignette problem. And I like vignetting, but I like to choose when it happens. But if it's gonna do it every single time, I mean, I guess there's a plus and minus to that. There's still some cool features on this though that I'm liking. The fact that I can do long exposures and triggers on the remote and stuff, that's really cool. I can't wait to test more on that. I like this one, but it has some quirks that I don't like at the same time. It lends a definitely a unique look, but it vignettes the images a lot. I was too close. I need to back up a little bit. But the framing, see what I mean?
A little off.
A little off.
I'm not gonna see that.
It's so cool though. I would love your thoughts on this camera, because for me, I think for the price and for some of the cons, I would go a different route, because the only thing I will miss about this after I send it back, because you know I don't get to keep this camera, is the long exposure option. It's really cool. Another thing that has actually cost me a couple of pictures, only a couple of times, the view counter on this is backwards to everything that I've shot with, and I've actually opened the back of this when there's still a picture left. So the thing you have to keep in mind is it counts in reverse, so it doesn't tell you how many you have left, it tells you how many you have shot, which I would much rather it tell me how many is left. So that's just a little quirk. I guess that's more of a personal preference to me. So this is the base model that you can pick up for $150. They do have some kits that you can grab that have extra lenses and little attachments, flash covers, things like that. It's pretty cool. Another thing, when you put on one of those close-up lenses, the rangefinder here pulls out, and you can put in one that's for, you know, the close-up one. But good luck. The viewfinder on this is atrocious. Look how far off it is. And another thing that I don't really like, I know this video is more turned into, hey, this camera sucks. It's not really that, but there's still a few things I like. I don't like the fact that it's on the right side. I'm used to taking pictures with my right eye, and I can't. I have to take them with my left eye. Or shove my face right up into the camera to try and use my right eye, which is kind of what I've been doing with it. Another thing that this features is a selfie mirror, and it's actually pretty accurate. I'm very surprised. If you want to see more photos that I shot with this guy, head on over to my Instagram. There's a link in the description below. If you want to grab this camera for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check back tomorrow for the next episode of the Just Another Chris Halloween 2020 special, and consider subscribing. Now, get out there, make some art.